What's up, everybody? Circus here, coming at you with this week's power rankings. And this week is the most utter and complete domination of any deck ever.
That is right. The different point differential is insane. Truly something we haven't seen before.
Yeah, and if you're new to the series and you don't know what we're doing here, each week we track decks as they're played in tournaments around the community, and then we assign them points and then rank them based on their point totals. So if a deck gets a first place finish, it gets 6 points. A second place finish will score 4 points. A top 4 is 2 points, and the top 8 finish will get a single point.
That's right, Circus. And to keep the power rankings consistent, all of the tournaments that we track have the same format, that being rounds of Swiss into a top cut. And the deck format being one deck plus a 7-card side deck in which you can side a skill. And the tournaments that met deck criteria this week were the Battle Phase Series, the Meta Series, the Ruby League, the Baker Cup, and the GG Tour DLE Showdown.
All right, there were 10 tournaments this week. I just wait till you see how many that number one won. It's absolutely insane. But we're going to get right into it. And there's only a top 3 this week because no one else scored any points. I mean, they did,
Right.
but... all right, here we go. Number 3.
We could be looking at game, folks.
Okay, coming in number 3 with 16 points with a win in the Meta Weekly. So not bad, not bad. Thunder Dragons. What happened, man? I thought Thunder Dragons were gone. I thought they were gone, and people are like, this deck is dead, but it won the Meta Weekly.
Thunder Dragons they're still surviving. What is starting to become a thing are these decks that they do not die after their initial output of boss monsters, and they can cycle and use resources for long times.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not the best thing because a lot of those decks you needed Book of Moon, TTH, the whole 9 yards for them to coexist. Thunder Dragons, they've proven that they don't really need that. They can use elements that other decks that are not as successful have been able to use to succeed. Stuff like hand traps, chain floating, these Xyz monsters that that are played in other places, such as one of the other decks we're going to talk about, and that stuff just gives Thunder Dragons an edge that keeps growing. In a month or so, there's going to be even more rank 5 and 6 monsters confirmed that are coming out that Thunder Dragons are going to get to use, and they're going to be able to use them very easily because they make rank 5 and 6s extremely easy. So Thunder Dragons are just a really versatile deck, and they can establish boss monsters continuously.
Right. So maybe this deck is going to see a little bit more life. I mean, it's still a pretty good representation, though. 88 people playing it, decent top 8 and top 32 conversion rates. So maybe this deck isn't dead after all, but you'll see that there is definitely a gatekeeper in town. So,
oh yeah,
but it's not number 2, which we're going to do next. So, here we go.
Hot Red Archfiend Bane is lethal.
Okay, coming in at number 2 with 22 points, which is 6 points more than third place. I mean that's pretty good, right?
That's pretty good.
That's pretty
Cannot complain. Resonators not picking up a win this week.
The deck that lost to Thunder Dragons.
Yeah.
In the Meta Weekly.
Lost Thunder Dragons in the Meta Weekly. And Resonators, the new problem with this deck is that people are starting to figure out their recovery options. Right? The second skill activation, the use of your King Wild when in the graveyard. Of course, people have always known that these are their recovery options, but other decks are starting to, tech against it. The DD Crow here, getting hit with one too many TTHs to force out your second skill activation. Resonators are being, exposed as a very fragile deck compared to, one of the other decks we may or may not talk about tonight. And, some of, their recovery options is kind of like on the level of, it's just better than Photons when you actually take the time to dismantle it and make sure your opponent does not have a chance to use it.
You don't know anything about Photons, Kamel.
Oh, snap, you're right. God damn it, dude. I can't talk about Photons.
People use anger. The hard thing with Resonators is the grind game, right? Because if
Yeah.
you can disrupt them a few times, they're going to have a hard time. Like if they go through their sequence once and you're able to stop it, they can go through it again, maybe a third time, but they can't they can only go into their boss monster once, and then after that, they can kind of go through their sequence, and then maybe one more time. But if you can withstand that, they can't handle a long-term game. You know what I mean?
The Resonator strategy kind of harps on your opponent using all of their resources to wipe your board once, and then you having the things you need to make another board. But if your opponent does not blow their entire load, then you are in trouble because, they're going to have what it takes to stop you repeatedly.
Right.
It
does well in a meta
with their resources.
Yeah, it does well where there's not in a meta where there's not a lot of back row, right?
Yes, but now other decks, they're getting exceedingly more and more consistent, seeing the cards they need to their hand to get their own strategies going. It's not like a couple months ago when Resonators were best deck, hands down.
And it's not a deck that necessarily draws a lot of just raw cards. Remember Six Sams? Like they could just draw like 2 cards with one of their spells, and it wasn't like 2 specific cards. So it's like, oh, what did I draw? This deck draws very specific cards, so you're not always drawing into your text. You know what I mean? So it can draw cards, it can get out its boss monsters, but it might not be able to protect it or slow you down. And I think that's that's kind of the problem.
Yeah,
remember Karakuri? Karakuri could draw like half their deck. It was just raw cards, just
again.
whatever they wanted. Whereas this is more, it's very targeted. So I think
that's a good point. There's many times where Resonator players just straight up run out of cards because the only ones that they can generate are the ones from Banishing King Wildwind and from Resonator Call. There's no other way to really search here.
So you see they have 10 cards left in the deck, and it's all their techs. They just can't draw.
It's all MST, Resonator Call, Stratos.
All that stuff. So, all right. Are you guys ready for complete and utter domination?
For number 1.
All right, here we go.
Man, who cares about it? No one cares about this, right? Does anyone care what's happening on the screen right now?
All right, I told you. Here we are, first place.
Oh my!
A 55-point difference between second and first place.
Dude.
There were 10 tournaments, Kamel. This one won 7 of them.
Automats with 7 tournament wins. What the heck? They won 3 battle phases. And 3 meta series tournaments?
It got the Meta Weekly.
No, that's Maker Cup.
Yeah, it got both the Meta Freaklies, the Meta Maker Cup, Ruby League, 3 battle phases.
That is
Meta Freakly Wednesday, it was a mirror match, so it got first and second in the Meta Freakly Wednesday.
And Battle Phase Wednesday, that is absolutely hilarious.
Just look at this. I don't even know what to say.
Automats, 77 points. Let's talk about it for a second.
Shiranui never did this back in the day where Shiranui was destroying everybody.
Such domination has never been seen by decks that have seen upwards of 250, 300 participation.
Yeah, like Harpies.
Shiranui, Blue Eyes, Harpies, Star Lords, Dark Lords. None of them have done this. 7 tournament wins, 15% conversion rate.
That is insane.
Absolutely insane. Every time the Automat deck gets nerfed, it gets better.
Yeah.
I swear. The consistency skill in Automats is so good, and it increases the skill cap of the deck. Someone who utilizes it well, keeps track of the cards in their hand, analyzes exactly what resources they'll need to put monsters on the board, give them plays for next turn in all, areas of the duel. That is what, makes a really good Automat player. Every card of the deck is crucial, and you can just about have any of them to your hand except the Cosmic Cyclones he's playing. That's the real power of the skill Automata play. You can manipulate just about every card that you have in play.
Automats have just kind of stayed at their power level. I mean, they haven't really gone up a whole lot. They haven't really gone down a whole lot. But the decks around them have changed a lot, right?
Yep.
They're not playing against like full power Blue Eyes or Star Lords or whatever you want to call them. They're just doing the Automat thing, and the meta's changing around them. And
they've just been doing the Automat thing,
Yeah, and those guys that are playing Automats know what they're doing. And you run into Resonators or something, and this has got a little bit more of a grind game. And, they have a little bit more options. Resonators, I've been playing the deck a little bit lately in my free-to-play series. It doesn't have a lot of options. You watch somebody play Automats, they have a lot of options.
Yeah, what? A lot of these newer decks that come out with consistency skills, and, Konami gives them the works. Structure deck, consistency skill. New box, new character, consistency skill. And you know what? Automats, they beat them every time, baby, because those new decks, they're not built to go up against Automats. You use the skill multiple times throughout the duel. All of your cards synergize with each other. A lot of these other decks in the game, and a lot of new ones especially, they need the Book of Moon TTH MST package to get themselves working at the point the Automats are. They blow their monster core and their strategy after one turn to beat Automats. Well, guess what? Automats are coming back next turn, and you're not going to be prepared for it. And a lot of decks cannot pass that test. Resonators specifically that we just finished talking about.
Yep. Well, I think with the 20 card core that we're looking at here, is it just the Cosmic Cyclones that aren't Automat cards?
Yes, everything else is
in this version that we're looking at. Obviously, the extra deck is different, but like the main 20, there's like 3 cards, and that's it. So you can't really even complain about it. Like, oh, TTH carries this deck, or Book of Moon carries this deck. I mean, look at that. I mean, this is, a very archetype-specific deck.
Yeah, there's no, way to say it. The deck just synergizes so well with itself, making rank 4s and rank 6s. And, right now, the rank 4s, rank 6s we have are, their power is good for giving Automats a variety of different effects. But if we get better ones, forget it. Automats is the best deck at making these ranks with no restriction.
Right.
Of course, there's only one card in the deck that gives you a summoning restriction, and you don't even have to use that one. If you get it, you can send it back to the deck, get another card that you want, which is amazing.
Is it time to free the sister now? Now that Hatred
No friggin' way,
no?
dude. You want Automats to be out of control?
Yeah, so they still need that hit. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
To keep TTH out of the deck, right?
Yeah, to keep TTH out of the deck.
All right.
The best deck otherwise.
But congratulations to Automats with just domination this week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's look at overall representation for the week. Automats has the most, but it's not like you said, like when Blue Eyes was at like 400 or something like that.
It's not an absolute trouncing,
Yep. And look at poor Gimmick Puppets. We still have hope for that deck, folks. We still do. It's early.
It's so fun to watch. It's so fun, but I think
it just doesn't go into anything, right?
Just really quick, I don't think we were able to see a lot of the strategy on display this week. A lot of the Gimmick Puppet decks, they were seeing the monsters going to the Xyz monsters, and then it's like,
wow.
They don't have a turn 1 play, really. It's really sad. But turn 2, they pop off.
What was I going to say? Oh, Gaia. That's just dropped off this week.
Gaia. It has dropped
get
off.
out of here. I don't know why, but
in battle phase, there were 8 Gaias in the top cut, and all of them lost in top 16.
Okay.
Every single one. It was ridiculous. So no points there from a whole tournament.
All right, conversion rates, Automats. Gaia. Yeah, Gaia got up there.
Like I said, Gaia was up there, but no points.
Yeah. Well, it did score some top 8 points, as we'll see, but it's not a lot. So there are going to be a few like single points, but you'll see here in a second. Top 8 finishes: Automats, Resonators, Thunder Dragons, Harpies, Team. I mean, this is pretty much what the rest of the list looks like. But Gaia, so it had 2 top 8s. There you go. It made it into the top 8 twice. And here you go. Overall scores. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, man. A lot of these decks,
yeah,
it's almost like just what's your Automat matchup like, brother? And if it's not good, you're not getting points. That's what it is.
Right. That's what it comes down to.
And it's kind of funny, that Automats would be the deck that all these other decks are getting checked by, because they're not even a super oppressive deck or a super powerful deck with a broken strategy. It's just like, this is a deck that just works extremely well, and that you've got to do a lot to just beat this deck.
Yep,
I like it.
All right, and then moving on here. Here's the tier list. I know that's what you guys have been waiting for.
I
was gonna put them just not on the list.
This is the first time we've done something like this, right?
It's been a while, yeah. It's definitely been a
Yeah,
while.
no tier 2. Yeah, Resonators have definitely taken a dive. I don't even think they're considerably better than Thunder Dragons or Harpies anymore. I do believe it's a toss up with those 3 archetypes. But yeah, Automats are definitely in a totally different league.
Yeah, completely different. So, yeah, I was just gonna say the tier list is Onomats, and then there's just no one else.
Yeah, there's
but-
just everything else, that tries to come close.
Yeah, not even close. So, all right, guys, let us know what you think. How this week ended up here. It was.
Are you buying Automats today?
Yeah, it might be too late. You know, because these guys that are playing
might run out.
Automats, they might run out. These guys have been playing Automats for this long, this whole time. They're pretty good at it. They know what they're doing because they've been doing it for.
You're gonna have to start
now.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
For real.
All right, guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. But we're going to get out of here, and you should get in the Discord because it's free. The tournaments are free, and the new player help is free. I'm Circus. That's Kamel.
Peace out, guys.
And we'll see you next time.